Alright guys, the BMW is coming back together. The engine is back in the frame. I just installed new steering head bearings, so next up are the forks. So I want to show you how I did the rebuild and also shorten them in the process. I couldn't get this bottom screw loose that has this special kind of like opening. So I made a little piece of metal, 3 millimeters thick, and I just rounded the corners so it fits better in here. And that gave me enough of a bite that it loosened. Very simple, but effective. All right, so those are all of the main parts of the front fork. This is the fork slider. The piston sits in here and is connected firmly at the bottom with this nut. So the piston doesn't move inside the fork slider. On top of the piston on this side sits the spring, and the bottom of the fork tube sits right here, which means these parts can't move apart like that, but they can move this way. And that is what compresses the spring and also makes the oil flow through these little holes right here. And there's some in the fork tube as well. Let's move this up a little bit because now you know where everything goes. And what we do is we place this spacer right here. Before the piston would sit right here and sit against the ring. Now it sits higher up because we have the spacer in between, and the spacer is actually the contact point to these rings. And that makes that your forks sit as much lower as your spacer is high. Now let's put everything back together and on the bike. No way, I can't believe this worked. Getting the piston into the fork tube has cost me so much time and so many nerves. Yesterday evening I sat here and tried for hours with this little foil with a Red Bull can. Nothing worked. I just couldn't get the piston rings compressed enough for them to actually slide into the tube. And you have to be very careful to not bend the piston rings. So this annoyed me so much. I sat here and I could have cried. Now this tiny 3D printed sleeve was the solution. Oh, I'm so thankful for my 3D printer because that probably quite literally saved my life. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. All right, for the fork seal, we're just going to use one of the old ones, so don't throw those away. Then a little bit of oil goes on the inside right here, and also on the new seal. And then we put this on here. Okay, then the old seal goes on top. And then it's good to use a piece of wood that you can lay across. And then you can hammer it in there. Right, nice, that looks perfect. Now we can go ahead and put the two parts together. All right, I just went inside and actually cleaned out the fork sliders because it felt like there was still some blast media in there. So hopefully now it goes in a little bit smoother. Yeah, that's a lot better. That was very, very important to clean that out. So with that installed, we can now go ahead and put the bottom cap back on. And here we have a few more spare parts. On the outside, there needs to go a new big washer. And that's actually hollow on the inside because when you tighten this down, it flattens so it actually seals both surfaces. So it's very important to exchange that one. Then on the inside, we put the rubber damper. Oil goes everywhere. Boom, that goes in there. Each fork leg gets 250 milliliters of oil, and I measured the volume of the space and that's only 7 milliliters. So that is not too important. That sounds good. I'm gonna hand tighten everything and then use the weight of the forks to adjust the play and the steering head bearing. Now that the play is adjusted, I'm quickly going to install the fork sleeves and then let's see how everything looks when it's all together. Alright, and that's the front forks done. To tighten the nuts at the top right here, you can place the handlebar clamp on one side and then put the handlebar in just barely and then use it basically as a rest against your body or just hold it in place. That works very well because otherwise it can be quite hard to get those torqued down to spec. And yeah, apart from that, we are moving forward. I'm very much looking forward to putting all the rest on the bike. If you want to follow along, hit the subscribe button. And then if you want to watch another video, then I'm going to link you one right here. As always, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.